What's up, scholars? Moira here, and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 78. As always, be sure to like and share with your friends, and if you have a topic you'd like for me to cover, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below, or anywhere you reach me on social media or the Book of Showtime Discord. So a while ago I did this or that for NBA players, but this time around that is not the case. I'm just going to be doing a general all-purpose this or that. This is going to be a fun chapter, so just lay back, chill, and let's get right into it. Venetia first says French fries or onion rings. I'm going with fries for free. I'm a huge cheese fries fan, and most of my best work is done with a belly full of cheese fries, so naturally I'm going to lean in that direction. Fries, they also come in so many different forms. You have crinkle cut, steak, waffle, curly, shoestring. They can be enjoyed in so many different ways. I also think the floor for French fries is much higher than the floor for onion rings. I think low quality fries would still be better than above average onion rings. So I'm gonna go with French fries. Next, she says horror villains, humans or creatures? Creatures. Excuse me, sorry. I think humans are better because of that plausible element. Like, it's very possible someone like Annie Wilkes or John Kramer could be out there, and even when you look at some of the terrible things done to people, not by like dictators, conquerors, but normal people with 401ks and Spotify Premium, it's like, what drives you to be this evil? We're also in an era where it feels like serial killers are being glamorized through the media. They have a ton of shows on these people. Jeffrey Dahmer had his own series. Obviously, creatures are more horrifying to look at, and it makes for a harder obstacle to overcome, but I still gotta lean in favor of humans. Plus, hey, some of the horror girls, and by some I mean probably all, are hot. Yeah, I said it. Finally, she says red fish or blue fish. Now, I don't like this question because it's almost disrespectful not to involve one fish or two fish in the debate. I think all four options are joined at the hip, but in her defense, the video is called This or That, not This, That, or These. Back to the question, I have to say blue fish. The blue fish just has more aura, blends in more with its surroundings. Red is just too loud, too brash. Seems like a fish with low integrity, so blue fish, I'm rocking with you. Shifting on to what Ben has to say, first he goes with Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I gotta say, I'm not really a fan of either. I think it's a generational thing because, those Transformers, Space Jam, He-Man, that kind of rhymes. I don't care about any of those. That being said, and this might surprise you, but I prefer Power Rangers. I enjoyed the older Power Ranger movies more than I did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. And let me be honest, I got a thing for Rita Repulsa, I really do. I'm disappointed she wasn't in the Power Rangers collaboration recently in Fortnite, but look, the door is open for more. But yes, Rita Repulsa is the reason I'd always take Power Rangers over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Next, a classic, Marvel or DC? I gotta go with DC, mainly because of Batman and his universe. I think the DC animations are also fantastic. I love the Injustice and Arkham games, and just the grounded, more grittier nature of DC is more enjoyable to me. I also like that the DC heroes have their own cities. It makes more sense as opposed to every supervillain only attacking New York City, where conveniently every superhero lives. I live in New York City, and the taxes are already diabolical, but imagine the weekly superhero fight tax I'd have to pay. The next Marvel arc should be people in New York City getting tired of the superhero tax, and they just kill Tony Stark. Just do it. Just kill Tony. Kill all the Avengers. Kill all of them. Because they low-key cause a lot of the mess the city finds itself in. And no, that was not a pun, but that was pretty clever. Moving on, Ben says Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression. I'd have to go with Ruthless Aggression because that's the era I grew up in. Attitude Era was a little bit before my time. The Attitude Era was more important to wrestling history and it had some truly generational moments, but I'm more in tune with the Ruthless Aggression. A lot of the guys I grew up on when it comes to wrestling, John Cena, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Christian, Shelton Benjamin, Batista, all those guys were on my screen each week. I also think a lot of the better wrestling games dropped during this time frame. Here Comes the Pain, SVR, Day of Reckoning, so it was a great time to grow up on wrestling. Finally, he says Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I'm going with Mortal Kombat because I'm a better Mortal Kombat player than a Street Fighter player. The women are hotter in Street Fighter, I will say that. There are no ugly women in Street Fighter, but I can load up MK9 or MKX and go positive against any of my friends, so I'm going to say Mortal Kombat. And yes, I'm laying down the challenge. Not to Ben though, Ben kind of dog walked me, so I'll just... Anybody else wants it in Mortal Kombat, yes, y'all can get the smoke, but Ben, please stay in your lane. Go over there. Moving on to Zeta, she first says hot dog or hamburger. So when it comes to hot dogs and hamburgers, it's close, but I'm going with burgers, and here's why. With a hot dog, they are consistently solid to good in terms of taste across brands, but when you do have a bad hot dog, it stands out more. Burgers are indeed more inconsistent brand to brand and even style and preparation, but a great burger is levels above a great hot dog. So while the taste spectrum is wider for burgers, the ceiling is higher too, so I'd have to go with burgers. Also, if you microwave hot dogs, you need to go to prison. Not jail, not lockup, prison. Next, she says Alien or Predator. This is a tough one because Aliens was such a cool movie and I like the 80s sci-fi stuff, but Predator, he is such a bad, well, there's multiple Predators. Sounds like Hollywood, I know, right? But the Predators are badass, they're warriors of integrity. As a gamer, I want to lean with Alien because of all the games, but the greater lore of the Predators is pretty cool too, but I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to go with Alien. Also, the Alien Queen, I was playing Dead by Daylight the other day. She is low-key thick. Now, don't take that as like some type of like fetish, but you know, I can respect thickness. Next, she says Snake or Sam Fisher, and I had to ask her which snake because there's a few snakes, and she went with Venom Snake. So Venom Snake or Sam Fisher. You know, I just replayed Splinter Cell Conviction, and I started Blacklist a couple days before I recorded this, so there might be recency bias, but I'm going with Sam Fisher. If this was Solid Snake, I'd look the other way, but Venom Snake, at the end of the day, he was just a pretender. Plus, I think Sam Fisher on a skill level would clear Venom Snake. He's faced off against all types of enemies and all types of environment, and his roster of weapons and gadgets, I think he'd have no trouble taking down Venom Snake. Next, she says quicksand or lava. Now, I don't know if this is what I would rather have in a trap, or what I'd rather fall in, or what's just cooler as a concept. As a trap, I'd go with quicksand because of the psychological damage you can do to your enemies. If you get there quick enough, you can capture them for information or slave labor, and then what if you just make them watch like horrible YouTube videos or something like that, or just some terrible movies, like I'll make you watch Ant-Man Quantumania as you slowly die. As for what I'd rather fall in, I'd go with lava since I'd die quicker. Very painfully, yes, but you know what, you only have to die once. As for aesthetic, lava again, because what if you walked into someone's house and they had lava in the walls? Wouldn't that be awesome? You're like, man, this guy really been around. Moving on to my friend Sithy, he first says red pill or blue pill. Is it illegal for me as a trans person to say blue pill? Like, I sort of understand why Cypher wanted to go back into the Matrix. He went from living a normal life, just chilling, to living in this cramped ship and eating mystery gumbo every night. I'd backdoor my crew too. Nah, but there are so many issues in life that I'm aware of, but there's like, I feel like there's just nothing you can do, so I try to look the other way as much as I can. Give me the blue pill, please. Next, he says RoboCop or Judge Dredd. I'd have to go with RoboCop by default, because I really don't know much about Judge Dredd. I know myself, Sithy, and our friend Kickstriker, we tried to play the Judge Dredd GameCube game, and it ran poorly. You could say it ran dreadful. I didn't like that. That was out of character for me. But that was my entire Judge Dredd experience. I think somebody made Judge Dredd in WWE 2K14 online. I think I downloaded him and fought him, but I mean, it wasn't that special. I mean, I was facing Kratos. I was like, all right, Kratos is doing his thing, but Judge Dredd, I don't know what Judge Dredd does. So RoboCop takes the cake in this one. Next, he says 7th or 8th generation of console gaming. I gotta say 7th, because if I had to rank my top 100 games of all time, I think close to 70% of the list will all be native to that era. I mean, you had the entire golden age of Call of Duty, Dead Rising 2, Alan Wake, the Dead Space Saga, LA Noire, Rock Band Blitz, Twilight Princess, Left 4 Dead 2, the list goes on. You had some generational titles in that era of gaming, so 7 for free. Next, he says Roman Reigns title reign or Hulk Hogan title reign. I will detonate a brick of fentanyl at a family gathering before I pick Hulk Hogan on anything. While Roman's reign, see what I did there? There's a lot of puns this chapter. I gotta have a conversation with myself. While Roman's reign did get old after a while, it also made for a lot of compelling TV at times. Plus, it got Sami Zayn into the main event at WrestleMania, so Roman all the way, rotten hell Hulk Hogan. Finally, he says Big Gold Belt or Big Eagle Belt. You know, I actually have replicas of both of those belts. Remind me to post pictures in the server. Anyway, I gotta go with the Eagle. I just think the design is more defined than the Big Gold Belt. I know the Big Gold Belt is one of the most recognizable and iconic titles of all time, if not the most iconic, but something about that Attitude Era WWE title, I think that's the best WWE Championship design of all time. This question also makes me think about how pedestrian the WWE titles are these days. Too generic, too repetitive between divisions, and nothing with much aura. The Winged Eagle? Even the name is cool. Moving on, my brother Nicholas says psychological horror or existential horror. What a great prompt. What a really great prompt. I had to really think about this one because the horror genre is so versatile, and some games or movies aren't truly one or the other. They may be the majority of one type of horror. You know what? With October on the horizon, I'll save this discussion for another time. That's a great question though, Nicholas. Next, he says main enemy that progresses with player versus ever-present enemy that is also final boss. Nobody get mad at me, but I actually have not played much of the Shadow of Mordor games, which is a shame because they're tremendous games. Somebody gave me $10,000 so I could take a lot of time off from work and play video games. I have a deep backlog, dude. There is so much I want to play, but just no time. Anyway, this is a tough choice, but I'm going to say enemy that progresses with you. It's like you're becoming rivals with the game itself. It's like, listen, I'm tired of you. You gotta go. The Like a Dragon games have a lot of that in and between games, and Virgil is a prime example, like Nicholas mentioned. And in some cases, it's like, listen, forget the story, forget the plot. I gotta beat you. I gotta beat you because I just have to now. So I prefer that style of enemy where you kind of get invested in fighting them. Invested on an emotional level. Finally, moving on to the Dark Man, he first says BlackBerry or flip phone. On an aesthetic level, flip phones have variety, and it's also really cunty to close the phone to hang up on someone. Let's be real here. I'm going for utility and comfort though, and the BlackBerry offers that. I never had one, but I used one, and I think my dad had that one, had like a mini mouse ball type thing on it for the internet. I thought that was really cool, but yeah, I gotta go with the BlackBerry. Next, he says dreads or corn rules. Dreads, easily. I like the way dreads move when the person is playing a sport or dancing or running. It's a very poetic hairstyle and can be spun in so many different ways to fit whoever has them. Cornrows are just too pedestrian for me, no variety. Next, he says Six Flags or Ride Playland. I have to say Ride Playland, and for those who don't know, Ride Playland is a theme park in, well, Ride, New York that opened almost 100 years ago, back in 1928, and the Darkman and I, we went there quite a bit in our youth. I know Six Flags has DC themed rides and Looney Tunes all over the place, and overall what it can offer, what Six Flags can offer, is a much better park. However, Ride Playland is smaller and not as populated, so in reality, if you go to Ride Playland when it opens, you can probably do literally everything in the park if you wanted to in one day, whereas Six Flags, some of the lines for rides can reach 2 hours, and it's like 2 hours in the sun for 40 seconds of dopamine. Not really worth it. I've had a lot of fun at Six Flags, but I just have a soft spot in my heart for Ride Playland. Next, he says fruits or vegetables. Vegetables. I gotta go with veggies. I feel like you have so many great vegetables that you can serve with any meal at any time of the day. And if I had to do a tier list for all the vegetables versus a tier list for all the fruits, there's going to be more high-tier vegetables than fruits. I think fruits are very top-heavy when it comes to ranking, so I gotta go with vegetables. Next, he says the Sonic franchise or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. That's Sonic for free. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like I mentioned, I like it, but I don't go out of my way to watch anything. But, you know, as a gamer, I just have to pick Sonic. The games are fun. The movies have been great. There's better memes, fan art, cosplay, porn, everything. So Sonic just has it all working in a way Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles doesn't. Finally, he says bacon, egg, and cheese or chopped cheese. I gotta say, I think the chopped cheese is overrated. And for those of you that are in big market cities, a chopped cheese is basically a hamburger on a hero. They chop it up and they put the cheese on it. Chopped cheese. You can put it on a hero or a roll or cocoa bread if you prefer, but you know what? It's never stood out to me. I've had it on a hero, I've had it on cocoa bread. It's just not my style. If it comes to a beef hero, I think I really prefer Philly cheesesteaks over chopped cheese, but that's not the question, which I guess I sort of answered already. But yes, the bacon, egg, and cheese is the superior sandwich. It's a breakfast staple, and you can have it any time of the day, really. It's an elite combination, a workhorse meal. I still remember that's all the Darkman would get. When I would go out for sandwiches, he would get 2 bacon, egg, and cheeses on a roll and an Arizona energy drink. I don't know how he could drink those. They do nothing for me, but he's also a skinnier, lean guy, and I'm a chubby girl. I'm not gonna lie. I'm hefty amongst the thighs, as they say. But yeah, energy drinks don't do nothing for me. But yes, I'm going with bacon, egg, and cheese. Alright, scholars, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below what you would pick in these situations. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.